Who is Henry?
Henry was the first young man to make wearing a tie fashionable.
I'm on Team Henry.
Yeah, I see all these stickers and stuff around, but I don't really know who he is. Is he like a ninja or something like that?
That's the question on the lips of most New York metropolitan citizens. A rash of taggings and vandalisms has caught the media eye. And we've come to Newark, New Jersey today in hopes of learning the real story behind Henry Ditmar.
I'm Lori Sue Walker, and I was Henry's aunt. Christy is my sister, and of course Christy is his mom. I actually met Henry when he was in my sister's womb. And then I was at the hospital when he was taken by emergency C-section, which would have been February 7.
I was 6 years old when I first met Henry, and I actually met Henry in the hospital. Christy had just had a cesarean, and I remember because she was showing me her belly and there's these staples all in her stomach, and it was really gruesome as a child to see it. And she was like, it's okay because Henry's out. And at the time I had no idea what that meant because I was 6. So we went into the ward and we could look through a little glass in the door, and we could see through the little glass in the door, and then inside there's all these little cubicle plastic incubators, and Henry was one of the little pink rodent looking babies in there. And Uncle Henry went in with his amazing hair, and he took little Henry out, and he held him up so we could see him through the glass because we couldn't go in. And I asked my mom, why can't I go in and see Cousin Henry? She said, because you're not family, you're a cousin. And I didn't understand that either.
I first met Henry forever ago. I don't even really remember first introduction. He just kind of was there ever since I have a memory. Henry has been there, so I can't really say a specific time where I remember him popping up, but he's just always been there.
It's hard to choose one favorite Henry memory. That young man was memorable from the day he was born. We used to watch him in Geneva when they were very young, and he would try to keep up, because he was the youngest. He used to try to keep up with Geneva and Cherish and Chelsea, and especially Chaz, or Champ, his older cousin. That was when he was around 2 years old. So I remember that time in general very fondly.
There are a lot of Henry memories, and sadly most of the ones that stick out in my head aren't necessarily favorites. There were a lot of times where every time I see Henry, he would take my hair and be like, oh look, your hair's long enough to choke you. Oh, and the sad part about that was more often than not he would actually choke me, but he would think it was the funniest thing in the world and just laugh and snort about it. So I'd say that's probably one of my most vivid memories of him, because it was every single time I saw him, that was how I'd be greeted.
One of my favorite memories of Henry, and it's actually a Henry and Geneva memory, was when we were visiting their grandparents at Sandy Pines, and they had a paddle boat. And they were like, hey kids, go out in the paddle boat into the lake, it'll be fun, it'll be nice. And Geneva and Henry and Cherish and myself went out on this paddle boat, this little island on the middle of this little bitty lake. We paddled out there and we felt really brave and like Tom Sawyer-y. Like, all right, let's go back now, we're getting hungry. We got back in the paddle boat and started paddling towards shore, and we realized as we were going back there was a hole in the boat, and the boat was starting to fill up, so the water was encroaching higher and higher, and Geneva and Henry in the back was paddle the water out, and they were scooping water out of the boat, and I was trying to pedal, and Cherish jumped out in the back, was pushing the boat, and we were all trying to, at the end we were all holding on to the outside of it and trying to pull. The parents were on the shore and we were yelling for them, we're sinking! And the parents were all laughing, they're like, oh kids. And we finally made it to the shore and the boat was totally sunk and they had to drag it up. But little Henry must have been like 6 or something. He was little and he hung out the whole time on this boat, and he never cried, never freaked out. He helped push it to shore with his little body. And that was a really great Henry memory, because even though he was the littlest one there, he definitely held his own, and he didn't crack under pressure. He was a very cool kid.
The Henry phenomenon has spread to engulf the fashion industry, food and beverages, print ads, and the world of art. Henry has been referred to as many things, one being a binger. To learn more about this term, we turn to martial arts enthusiast and ninja expert Paul J. Mason.
The young or baby ninja is a very small phenomenon that you'll find in few places in Japanese culture. The only place you can really see it as far as Japanese cinema goes is Lone Wolf and Cub and some earlier notes like that. But the word itself is a bit of a an analogy brought together between American and Japanese cultures, binja, baby ninja, binja. There are very few of them in a very previous lifetime. Sonny Chiba was one, Bruce Lee was one, and young Henry Ditmar was one.
Henry Ditmar's name has become synonymous with Rubik's cubing, an intense underground puzzle and gaming community. To learn more, we went to board game connoisseur and Rubik's Cube master, Nicholas Baudet.
Henry's skill level in the Rubik's Cube, I never personally saw it myself, but I heard that he beat pretty much the best time that I'd ever heard of, personally speaking. Beat my time by a lot. And he had some of the tricks down, you know, the double-fisted backhanded. And that one thing with Michel Gondry, when he faked it, doing it with his feet, I actually saw him do it with his feet that one time.
Some of these startling vandalisms have been caught on tape. What can you tell us about the Henry taggings?
And you cannot help but notice this growing movement of Henry and Henry in code and Henry in abbreviations and Henry in symbols. But I find that in this case, I strangely like it. It's okay with me. It encourages me. It kind of makes me smile and laugh. So that's where I stand on the Henry graffiti and vandalism.
I don't want to talk about this. I just don't want to talk about this.
Even though we have not uncovered the identities of those responsible for these events, at least we have shed some light on the Henry phenomena and learned a little bit about the people who are crazy enough to keep his memory alive.